Salutations friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a fragrance first impressions of Oud Abramad from BDK Parfums. If you'd like to know what I think about this fragrance, then keep watching. Now for transparency purposes, this was not sent to me to review. This was a little added bonus gift with purchase when I made a purchase of a fragrance from Max Aroma. Sometimes they throw in little samples when you make a purchase from their website, and this was the fragrance that they threw in with my most recent order. Now, BDK Parfums is a fragrance house that's been getting a lot of hype, I'd say, within the last year. A lot of people really been really gravitating towards their scents. There have been some cult favorite fragrances that have just been coming out of this house. I've gotten a lot of people asking me to review the house or specific fragrances. I haven't gotten around to trying them. This will actually be one of the first fragrances from them that I've tried. I have tried Rouge Smoking and I do really like it, and there's one other from the house that I've sampled and I do really like, but for the most part, a house as a whole, I haven't tried a lot of their stuff, and I am inquisitive, curious about all the offerings that this house has to offer. But I do love oud. I do love really rich, woody fragrances. So I was excited to see this in my order, and I thought this would be a fun first impressions. So first things, I've sprayed it on this hand to kind of let it dry down for about, I'd say 45 minutes. With woody fragrances and ouds, I like to let it really kind of sit on my skin. So I'm gonna spray this on this hand, kind of let it sit on my skin for probably like a minute or two, give you a first impressions of the opening, and then I'm going to give you my first impressions of the dry down and let you guys know what I think. Now this fragrance has a lot of notes in it. Obviously it has oud, it has Guaiac wood, it has saffron in there, ginger and rose, patchouli. There's a lot of very powerful notes in here that come together to create a very powerful fragrance. Considering that there is patchouli, oud, and rose in here, you guys know that that is a very powerful, very strong, popular combination, rose, oud, patchouli combo. And those three go together like peanut butter and jelly. They just really work well together. So whenever I look at patchouli, rose, and oud fragrances, I like to see what a house does to make them stand out and what a house does to make it smell special. And the ginger and saffron in here has my interest piqued. Saffron can be beautifully spicy and works so good with woods and roses. And ginger is a lovely, zesty, again, another kind of spiced aromatic scent note, I should say, that works really well with florals and lighter woods. I haven't really smelled it too much with darker, kind of more challenging woods like oud. So I'm excited to see how this fragrance smells. Now I don't see, when I'm looking at the notes, and I'm checking out the notes on Lucky Scent, I don't see any fruits in here specifically. There is some cumin, you have Castoreum, Guaiac wood, again, Rockrose, and there's incense in this as well. Cumin is a really interesting aromatic note to have in fragrances. It's one of those spices that's so distinctive that if it's overused, it can make it smell like taco seasoning. But if it's utilized correctly, it can be one of those notes that can really add a lot of creativity and a lot of ingenuity to a composition. So I'm really excited to smell if the cumin is in there and is working its magic. So I'm going to grab it out of this box. I already took it out of the box. I don't know why I put it back in the box. And I'm going to spray it on this hand, and then I'm going to, again, let it sit for a few minutes, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to let you guys know what I think of the opening and the dry down. So here we go. We do 2 sprays. Now sometimes with some fragrances, when you spray them initially, they fill a room immediately, like they're very aromatic. It kind of creates an instant atmosphere, and some fragrances don't do that. I did notice when I sprayed this and this one just now, it does kind of come into your nose and fills your atmosphere pretty quickly. So it's one of those aromatic fragrances that you get to enjoy immediately, which is really nice. So I just sprayed this on my skin. I don't know if you guys can still see that it's still wet. I'm gonna give it probably about 3 to 5 minutes to dry down, and I'll let you guys know what I think. Be right back. Okay, I am back. So it's been about 5 minutes and this has been sitting on my skin, marinating into my flesh. That sounds lovely. And I'm ready to let you guys know what I think of the opening and the dry down. So first things first, this still even 5 minutes is very in the air, aromatic. It kind of hasn't settled down, which is really nice. I don't know if this is the type of fragrance where you get olfactive fatigue, I can say words, fatigue from. Some fragrances, specifically really dense, woody scents, I get to enjoy all day. And then the lighter fragrances kind of disappear. I can still smell them, but my nose doesn't pick them up unless I'm kind of looking for them. I don't know if this is going to be the type of fragrance that I get to enjoy all day, but for the most part, for the past 5 minutes, I've been able to pick it up just, arm's length away from me, so that's really good. So the opening of this fragrance smells a beautiful, kind of westernized oud, and I've talked about this before. Oud is an amazing, beautiful, it can be incredibly challenging note, but when the Western compositions and perfumers and styles of perfumery took this amazing note, they tamed it a bit, or at least in my opinion, they seem to have tamed oud. And when you start to teeter into the more kind of traditional, more untamed oud fragrances, you get these amazingly powerful, gorgeous, unapologetically challenging fragrances that are just some of the most beautiful, some of the most extreme, gorgeous, sublime fragrances ever. Oud is not for everyone. Not everyone is going to like oud. There is nothing wrong if you do not like oud. It again is not for everyone. But me personally, I am a lover of oud. I do love challenging ouds, but I find them to be hard to wear. Not for me personally, but for people around me. So in order to get my love of oud, but also be able to wear it and enjoy it, I like the balance between Western ouds and more traditional fragrances that don't tame this amazing note. This fragrance does smell tame, but that's not bad. It makes it way more wearable, way less challenging. Now, I will say that from the notes that I've looked at Lucky Scent, there seems to be no fruit in this fragrance, but it does smell fruity. It smells like there's dried fruits in this fragrance, and I really like the way that that plays with the rose and the patchouli. It's not like a jammy fragrance, it's just like a beautiful, like rich, dried fruit note. It gives it like a deepness and a gorgeous kind of quality to the composition, which I think plays with the woods and the incense really nicely. The rose is very present in the opening, and I would probably say that my thoughts would be is that the rose would be what would go first based off of how it's smelling on my skin. So it's very dried fruits, datey, but I don't think I'd call it a date. It smells like a Western oud scent. It's really luscious and easy to wear, very sexy fragrance. But now I'm going to smell the one that's been on my hand for probably almost an hour right now and let you guys know how this one smells. So I like this actually way more than the dry down. I like the dry down way more than the opening. And sometimes openings smell nicer because you got this gorgeous top notes and then everything's kind of commingling. But what I like about this is that fruity note is gone. The rose is not non-existent, but you're getting more of the aromatic cumin. It's making this fragrance a little bit more dry. What I like about that is it's making a little bit more complex and a little bit more challenging. So rose is, a lot of people understand rose. It's not an uncommon smell. You can go into a grocery store and wash your hands when you use the restroom and there could be rose scented, soap. It is one of those notes that is not hard to comprehend that you've smelled it before in your life. Wood is another thing. You go by a tree, any tree. Sometimes you can smell the wood of trees, or you live in a place where you chop wood or you have a fireplace. Wood is not an uncommon note. And oud is an uncommon woody note, but a wooded fragrance is not, like a woody aromatic fragrance is not an uncommon composition. What I like about this is it's still a very Western oud, but it's got a little twinge of something different in there. And I think that's the cumin. I think the cumin is specifically kind of adding a little bit of pepperiness to it, a bit of warmth and aromatic warmth. So I talk about this before too. When you have specific notes like coriander or cardamom, or I would even say mint or basil, those are beautiful aromatic notes that add almost a coolness to fragrance, specifically nutmeg. But then when you have notes, you know, like cinnamon or cumin, those are aromatic notes that add almost a warmth to a fragrance without making it like warm or spicy or something like that. They're really ingenious notes, and I'm getting a little kick of cumin in this dry down that is kind of taking over the rose note, but the rose is still there, but it's barely there, and it's really nice. It's creating this edge, this different little kick to this fragrance than your standard rose patchouli oud combination. The oud, again, is very predominant. It's a very woody scent. It's very powerful, but it's not a challenging oud. Again, this is a very westernized oud, and it smells nice for the most part. I like this. Now, do I think this is special in regards to a patchouli oud rose scent? I don't know. So with this fragrance, you're looking at spending a little over $200 if you pay full retail price for this fragrance. So how it smells, I don't know how it performs. I've only been wearing it for an hour. How it smells, it doesn't smell like that is out of the question in regards to would you spend that amount of money. How it smells doesn't sound out of the realm of possibility that you would spend that much money on this fragrance. It smells nice. It doesn't smell overtly chemically. It doesn't smell overtly medicinal, at least at the dry down. In the opening, it can, the rose, those sweet fruits pull maybe a little medicinal, a little tiny bit. I don't mind it. Some people hate that. The dry down, that goes away after I'd say an hour, again, wearing it for an hour. But for the most part, I don't think that this is something that smells like you would be wasting your money at $200. It doesn't smell bad. It smells like you could spend that much money. It's a luxury niche fragrance. It smells nice. Do I think it's worth adding to your collection? Let's just put it this way. Oud, patchouli, and rose is a very common composition. You can find it in a variety of different houses. You can find fragrances like this from Armani Privé. You can find fragrances like this from Mancera, Montel. Variety of different Middle Eastern fragrances that are maybe quarter of the price, you know? You can find this composition anywhere. What makes this fragrance a little bit different? What makes this fragrance a little bit standing out aside from those other fragrances is it's actually a light fragrance. So it is this really powerful patchouli, this really powerful wood, this unique cumin note in there. You have the rose, but it doesn't feel heavy, it feels light. And that lightness, I think, is something that people kind of wish for with some of these heavier, more challenging compositions. You don't really see that too much in Montal. You don't really see that too much in Mancera. This fragrance almost has a leathery lightness to it. Some leather scents can be very heavy and some of them can be very effervescent, and this weirdly feels like one of those kind of like lighter, more effervescent oud fragrances. And I know effervescent is used way too much, but it's the best word I can give to you guys right now. I'm not the most eloquent reviewer in the world. And I find this to be really fascinating. Do I think you need this fragrance in your collection? If you have one oud rose patchouli combo, I don't think you do. I don't think you'd need to add this fragrance to your collection if you already have one that you like to wear. But if you like different variations of that combination, if that composition is something that you gravitate towards and you want something a little bit different, a little bit new, a little bit special, I think this would be great. I do like this fragrance. I don't think it's too bad for the money. I think you can find things like this cheaper. I definitely can, but I don't think that this is a bad fragrance. I actually really enjoy it. Will I add it to my collection? I don't know. I don't own any fragrances from BDK Parfums. Will I add some to my collection in the future? Probably. I have the intention of adding at least Rouge Smoking to my collection and at least 2 others. So I do like this house, and I don't know if I would add this particular fragrance to my collection, but I might, because I do like this composition. I love the cumin in here, and I like the fact that it's an easy to wear oud dominant scent, so I could wear it around the people that are more scared of my more challenging fragrances. But at the end of the day, I do really like it. I don't think it's a bad fragrance, and you know, for the past hour, I've smelled really good, so there is that. Anyway, guys, that is my first impressions of Oud Abramad. I think I mispronounced that. I'm pretty positive I mispronounced that. From BDK Parfums. Thank you guys so much for watching this fragrance. I hope you enjoyed it, or this review. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you guys have any experience with this fragrance, I'd love to know what you guys think, or what is your favorite or least favorite fragrance from this house. Let me know as well. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.